the Republican voices within the immigration binder, and I want to rely on them right now on this issue. So the first is this idea that our immigration system is broken is true. But one of the ways it's broken is that there are people in our country that are considered now undocumented who have been waiting for so long, trying to go through a system that has been deliberately broken by Republicans. Don't believe me, believe the far-right Cato Institute, who points to this system and says it would be easier to win the lottery than to be able to come into this country when you have even an American spouse, American children. We've so broken the system that has made it so hard and so much hardship on American families. The second thing I want to point out is what, again, Republican voices are saying. They're saying that vital to our nation's economy is creating a system that is fair. Let me give you another Republican voice. Samuel Alito says that if you are in this country, citizen or not, you have fundamental due process protections that are not being honored right now by this president. Some people might say they disappeared that person, but they're not an American citizen. Well, if there's no due process, how do you know they're not an American citizen? If they have to take somebody off of our streets, throw them on the plane because they don't like their tattoo, and end them up in one of the worst jails on the planet Earth without any due process, where they've already admitted that they've made mistakes. That's not our country. This is a cancer on the soul of our nation. And we have got to say no. There is a way to do this in a bipartisan manner to create more strength and security, but to create an immigration system that serves our economy and upholds our values. That's what I stand for. That's what I'll fight for. Thank you. Oh, yes, yes.
Hi, Senator Booker. My name is Sean.
I'm sorry, your name, I hear Sean's name, but
I'm sorry. My name is Neil.
Neil.
This is Sean.
Okay.
My wife is here. My other child is here. The whole thing you got out here today.
And where are you all from?
Caldwell.
Which town?
Caldwell.
Caldwell, yes. Essex County.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Yes.
Yes, it is. So the first thing I wanted to do was make a comment. You can see this young man. He is the recipient of Medicaid. And just as the other parents here told you about their children with autism, Sean doesn't have autism, but he does have severe disabilities. And Medicaid is his lifeline, not because it's his primary insurance. It is his backup insurance. It is the cost-effective part of taking care of a child with heavy-duty special needs. My question then, I have two. How do we get the guys on the other side of the aisle to understand the cost-effectiveness of Medicaid? Because if it weren't for Medicaid, Sean would not be living at home. He would be somewhere else costing hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's question one. Question two is, it's looking like a little bit like the Weimar Republic in this country right now. How do we get the other side to wake up? And how do we get the people in this room not to beat up on you so much? You stood for 25 hours. But for us outside the Republicans' district to push on them to not buckle.
So, Neil and Sean, thank you for being here and for your whole family. The first thing is just pulling back the curtain and showing America. Because you two both know you represent the voice of millions of Americans. And it's one of the reasons why from the stand I did on the floor, we ran all of our social platforms. We run this now on different live platforms, is because the courage that you and Sean have to be here today, we want those voices to try to dispel or address that poverty of empathy. Number two, I want to say to you is this. Again, I always tell people, New Jersey didn't send me to Washington to be a great Democratic senator. They sent me to Washington to serve the whole state of New Jersey and be a great senator, period. And the tribalism in which we speak to each other sometimes, I'm sorry, is that your wife, Neil? Hi, Jennifer.
John's mom.
All right.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your family, for your just beautiful family. But the second thing I want to say is just all of us should understand that we share common values. Tribalism does not speak to the unity we have as a nation. We have a lot of unity. The lines that bind us are not nearly as long as the ties that bond us. And so I always try to have a lot. In fact, one of the reasons why I'm a senator who's passed a lot of bipartisan bills is because I never demonize or degrade somebody because they agree with me. And I know that that's hard, but the reason why I love your question is because you started with the truth. Let's agree that we all in America want to have a government that runs efficiently and effectively. And we want to make sure that we are investing in the things we get the biggest return. People think of Medicaid as an entitlement program that just spends, but misses that point that he made. Without Medicaid allowing people to live independently or to live at home with their families, if we lost Medicaid and they were not able to provide those services, people would end up in far more expensive care. Investing in primary care is one of the biggest things, because I learned this when I was mayor of the city of Newark. So many people are allowing on hospital emergency rooms for care, the most expensive place for care. And then how much money do we spend what they call charity care? I want to get a better word for that, but it comes out of our taxpayer dollars. So what they're talking about is appealing to the truth. If they follow through with these cuts, they may cut $250 billion from Medicaid, but it's our society financially far more on the back end because of the issues that are going to be created. We need to be able to make appeals to people on the other side of the aisle. We need to be able to have conversations that start with, and I say this to a lot of my Republican colleagues, that start with, we share some common values. Let's start from there, that our government be fiscally responsible. It is not fiscally responsible to cut NIH funding, because for every dollar we invest in NIH funding, we get $5 back in the kind of breakthroughs. It makes no sense Donald Trump is doing to science and research right now by correct costs. Fareed Zakaria talked about this on the Senate floor, did this incredible editorial where he talked about how we are cutting science research, that they're now, some of our top universities here in New Jersey are cutting the number of PhD candidates, postdoc candidates they have. And then he compared that to who is doubling down. They learned cultural revolution, or even what they were doing in 10. They're now doubling down investments in science and research because they know that's how you win economy, and win actually militarily is to get ahead on science. So I'm just saying, God bless you and your family for making that point, but that point can't that you just make about your family is conversation that we're whipping up right now, to look at a Republican and say, look, I disagree with you. Look at a Republican and say, look, I disagree with you. I'm going to stand my ground with you. I don't hate you. Let's talk about a pathway to redemption right now, because we both share the view. If you take away the health insurance from a family who has their child at home, who might have special needs, if you take away that, you are going to cost my government and my soul, frankly, a lot more money. Less stronger, more financially sound, more intelligent country. Thank you very much.
Senator, we are past, so we're going to ask for a last question.
So we'll do a last question, and then I want to do a wrap if I can. Okay.
As long as it's not 25 hours.
Okay. Where is my up Zaire? Where's my up Zaire?
Hi, Senator. My name is Clodagh O'Connor. student at Northern Valley Old Japan.
Whoa, 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 whoa. You're a Gold Beat?
Yes.
All right. Did you guys beat Bergenfield this year?
I don't know.
Okay. Sorry, my great guy. I love your town. Love your town. Not the 1986-87 football team, though. Go ahead.
Next year, I plan to in pursuit of becoming an animator. The question is, do you plan to regulate artificial intelligence, to regulate to preserve job opportunities for artists, business people, and other people who are in danger of their jobs being taken over by AI?
Okay, that's credible. So waves of technology disrupt our country and the world. A lot of people saw waves of technology in time that the X-Geners, we were coming up. And disruptive technology, the computer revolution, the internet. I remember, everybody here remembers why we thought AT might end bank jobs. So I don't know what this next wave, it's going to be one of the more revolutionary waves we've ever seen. I'm one of these people that says, let's not fear it. Let's get excited about it and shape this technology to empower humanity. Right now, I'm going to tell you, when I was mayor, I had such a frustration about our procurement rules. My friends in the private sector, and I see the county executive rolling his head because you feel my pain, I know it. I was trying to run the most efficient and effective government I could for my taxpayers in Newark, but yet I was strapped with these procurement rules, forced me to pay 2x what my friends in the private sector were often paying for the same thing. And I was just saying, God, I know that these rules were written with the good intention to make sure that it was fair and no corruption. I understand that. But when my competitors in the private sector are able to do things for less, why can't I have those same rules? And so I look now to AI as something that could transform the way we do government services. It's a better deliver services, better empower people, better do predictive analytics to see a problem of what happens. I want us to be bold and ambitious about what the future of America can be about. And students like you get me so excited because you're asking me a question in AI that's revealing to me as an artist that you might be a person that shapes it. Let me give you an example. I sat in my office because I love technology and innovation with a whole bunch of artists that were explaining to me why blockchain technology has transformed their art. Because artists used to be struggling, used to make things, whatever, but now they sell pieces in ways that they couldn't before. And because what happens in the art world sometimes is an artist, somebody buys their work for $100, goes into the market, a demand for it, and they make thousands times the profit of what they paid for it, and that original artist gets nothing. Now with the immutable blockchain, some of that wealth stays with the artist. So I don't want to go too far down this before people start glazing over, but I'm just telling you right now, I don't want us as a nation to get so caught up in talking about other people that we forgot to talk about our common possibilities. When Martin Luther King, in the midst of hatred and violence and bigotry and beatings and lynchings even in our country, when he came to speak before people, when he came to speak at the March on Washington, he didn't demonize Bull Connor. He didn't hate upon George Wallace. He turned to America and inspired us to dream America, to dream of a greater America. And I think your generation as Gen Z, millennials, Gen X, my baby boomer leaders, God bless them, this is the last baby boomer president. New generations are rising, and it's our turn to redeem the dream of America, to dream America anew, to put a vision for this country that's so inspiring and so compelling, because I still believe we can be a nation where every child can have food in their belly and a school that serves genius. I still believe that we, a nation, can create a healthcare system where everybody has access. I still believe that we can be a nation that honors our elders, honors our veterans, and the dignity that they deserve, and can still be a nation that stands for peace in the globe and justice and a world order that works for everybody. I still believe that America can be the light into a dark world of hope and not bullying, that we can be a light of justice and not injustice. I still believe in the dream of America, and it's our generation's turn to step up and lead out of the quicksand and darkness that Donald Trump has brought to the higher ground of moral hope and audacious ambition and love for all. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thanks. Thank you. Thank you to our edible sign language. Incredible people. Thank you. Thank you very much, buddy. Thank you. This is a beginning. This is a beginning. More people standing up, more people speaking up, more people rising up. You don't got to stand for 25 hours, but you got to stand. You got to stand. Thank you. Get into some good trouble. Get into some good trouble.
All right, there you have it. Senator Cory Booker.
Senator Cory Booker in a town hall setting, answering questions. Of course, one thing I notice in these crowd, either in the town hall with Senator Booker or on the streets today, rallying or protesting, the hands-off protest. There's one thing I notice, and I'm sorry to point this out because I'm not trying to say this like I'm trying to poke into our differences. But if the screen in front of you, if you notice carefully, there's one trend that is common, and you can see that the white people generally are the one protesting. There's a reason for that. Because the black and brown people generally just feel like you caused this, and you are the only one who can go out there and resolve it. And the majority of the black and brown people are just saying, you know what? We don't want to be part of this. We do not want to protest this. Not that we are not feeling the pain, not that, they are not feeling the pain. The minority are feeling the pain even more, but you see, majority of the things I'm hearing is that, look, you did this. The white American did this. The Caucasian American did this. And it is unfortunate. It is unfortunate because if by now Trump is actually inflicting pain on the minority alone, inflicting pain on the black and brown people alone, you guys wouldn't care. And that is the unfortunate part. You wouldn't care whatever happens to the minority. Look, know a lot of good people who actually cares. But I'm saying that majority who actually vote for this man, they don't care. I'm listening the other day to some of these faffles, this is fine, F around and find out issue. And I noticed that, she's basically saying that, oh, I didn't know that she's coming for us. So you're okay with the idea that he inflicts pain on your neighbor. Because either you like it or not, we are all neighbors. You're fine if he's inflicting pain on your neighbors, but it becomes a problem when it comes for you. And the funny thing is most reasonable people, most people who really want this country to be better have said it, that, look, it's coming for everybody. It doesn't matter who you are. As long as you don't have millions or billions in your wallet, he's coming for you. As a matter of fact, the kind of wealthy people he is protecting, it's not all the rich people that qualifies. If your rank, ends as a millionaire, you are not qualified. You got to be a billionaire to qualify among the ranks that he's trying to protect. We said this. A lot of people say this, that he's coming for everybody. We look critically at the plan, the Project 2025 plan, and most of the things that this man says in rallies, in campaign. And we saw it clearly, that this guy doesn't mean good for anybody, for any one of you. As long as you are in the poor rank of America, he doesn't really care, But how long do you want to keep doing this? How long do you want to keep making yourself an easy picking for the politicians, as long as they, tell you to hate others, as long as they tell you, it's all about getting rid of the others. And then you're going to give it all in for them. How long do we want to keep doing this? Because fool me once, he said, the joke is on me, but the joke is on you, but if you fool me twice, then the joke is on me. Well, really, the white American has been fooled several times, and the joke is always on them, because it is easy. Once these politicians come with these culture war, these church ideas, as if the leaves or those who are Democrats are not going to church, or they don't believe in God. There's tons of them who actually go to church and believe in God. And then you make others look like they are demons. And so that's all you need to kick against your own interest. The gay guy is my problem. The transgenders is my problem. As long as they say that, that's all you need to vote against your own interest. I'm just saying, we need to start doing better, thinking better, because we can no longer continue to make ourselves an easy pickings for the politicians. I'm sorry, I do not mean to actually, do any show today. And I just want to, let us see that Cory Booker is out there again, answering questions and all that. And he's been on it for a while now, and we were able to join in late. But today, about 1,200 different locations in the United States protest against Trump's policy in what they call hands-off protest. And it's just 2 months. It's not even 3 months yet. And things are really, really, really hard right now. I can only imagine what many are going through out there just to be able to catch a break. It's not easy. Yet already people are losing their jobs. In Michigan, the car manufacturers literally laid off many people yesterday, simply because they cannot cope with Trump's tariffs system. He's already breaking people's back. So I will take you back a little bit to these, question and answer town hall, because we really came in late, but I'm going to just go back to the beginning of it for some of you who missed it, so that we can actually enjoy these once again together, And since you're already here, you might as well just subscribe and follow us on Facebook. Thank you very much for always joining us. And thank you very much for seeing us as worthy for you to watch these live shows and all of the contribution you are making in all our posts. Really appreciate, seriously, we do appreciate this.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you, Sheriff. Bald is beautiful.
Please be seated. Good afternoon and welcome to Bergen Community College, the largest community college in the state of New Jersey. And if I might say, the best. There are a few officials here that I would like to recognize. First, we have Assemblywoman Lisa Swain. Assemblyman Chris Tully. Assemblywoman Shama Hader. The Clerk of Bergen County, John Hope. Assemblywoman Ellen Park. Chair of the Bergen County Board of Commissioners, Mary Amoroso. Commissioner Jermaine Ortiz. Commissioner Rafael Marte. Commissioner Tom Sullivan. Commissioner Tracy Zur. Commissioner Steve Tonelli. The President of Bergen Community College, Dr. Eric Friedman. And if I miss anybody, I do apologize. I'll take the blame, but I do apologize. So, who did I miss? Oh. Assemblywoman Shavonda Sumter. Woo! The chair of the Bergen County Democratic Party, Paul Giuliano.
All right, Paul.
And for those of you that don't know me, my name is Jim Tedesco, and I am the Bergen County Executive. As the County Executive, I'm proud to say on behalf of the people of Bergen County, we are truly honored that Senator Booker and his team chose to host his first town hall since making history right here in his home county. Just days ago, this native of Harrington Park broke the record for the longest speech ever given on the Senate floor. For 25 hours and 5 minutes, Senator Booker amplified the voices of his constituents and Americans across the nation as he stood up for what is right. Senator, let me start by saying thank you. Thank you for standing up for what you believe in. Thank you for fighting for our residents here in Bergen County. And thank you for inspiring all of us. Thank you. These town halls are about going directly to the people. They are about listening and understanding that, as Senator reminds us in his recent speech, the power of the people is greater than the people in power. Yeah. It's fitting that this town hall is being held at Bergen Community College, the county's college, because here we celebrate our diversity, encourage our students to speak up for what they believe in, and empower them to fight for what is right. Just like Senator Booker did, by breaking a record of segregationist 68-year record to stand up for our shared values. As elected officials, 68-year record he broke. As elected officials, our job is to serve the people and to protect their interests. From his start on the Newark City Council to the United States Senate, Cory Booker has never forgotten where he came from or the people he represents. New Jersey has always been home to resilience, determination, and yes, a little good trouble. So it makes perfect sense that it was our senator who stood up for 24 hours to speak truth to power. His words have inspired millions at a time when inspiration is needed most, and we are truly honored to welcome him here this afternoon. On the Senate floor, he spoke these words. What's most clear to me tonight is that this is just the beginning, that Americans across this country, no matter their title or their party, are ready to be heard. I believe that history will show we rose to meet this moment. It will show we did not let the chaos and division go unanswered. It will show that when our president chose to spread lies and sow fear, we chose to come together, to work together, and to rise together. Ladies and gentlemen, now rise together and join me in welcoming home our senator for the great state of New Jersey, Senator Cory Booker.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you to the county executive. Sit down, please, please. Enough already.
There is
the reality is,
Senator Cory Booker in the town hall
Jim
setting.
and I have been friends for a very long time, and the people that when I
Senator Cory Booker in the town hall setting, answering questions days after he had a standoff on the House floor for more than 24 hours.
God bless you, sir.
Breaking the record.
Sir, I believe in your right to protest. I believe in
done
your
on
right
the
to
House floor.
speak.
But what is more
I believe in
important
your right
here
to
is
speak.
that you see on
God bless
the
you.
other side
God
of
bless you.
this
Give him
video
applause.
is
It takes a lot of courage
a protest
to
today
stand
in the
up.
U.S. in which
It takes a lot
about
of courage to stand up.
1,200 cities or places where protests actually
And maybe
occurred,
that's where I should start.
in
Honestly,
which
maybe that's where I should start.
U.S.
I'm
citizens
here
generally just
because a lot of
protest
New Jerseyans were
the
pissed
policy
off.
of these current
I really am. I'm here because a lot of New Jerseyans
administration.
were dissatisfied and
The
angry
protest today is
with leaders
called
in their
Hands
own
Off,
party, leaders in the other
and
party
that
as
is
well.
everybody getting up
And my
from their
belief
feet
is,
to say no. We're not going to
again,
take this.
I'm
So
going to
now
pause
we go
whenever
back
somebody
to
speaks, and
this
we're going to try to be
question and answer
respectful.
from
And this is
Senator
what
Cory
democracy
Booker.
is all about. This is why a lot of these people with veterans hats, why a lot of folks with veterans hats fought, because democracy is messy and ugly and tough. So I'm going back to that point. But first, before I go too far away from Jim Tedesco and the other elected leaders here, I do want to say what you said, which is very true to me. And I'll wait for a moment. Again, this is what we honor in our traditions in our country. We honor democracies. This is why we have town halls, not for everyone to agree. And I respect people who come. We're not going to let folks disrupt other people. We're not going to let folks disrupt other people, but we are going to create a forum for people that tell me their mind, tell me their hearts. So I do want to go, before I talk about one of the things that pushed me onto the Senate floor, I just want to say it is an honor to be here where I grew up. Again, I'm gonna say I love you, sir. I'm gonna say I love and honor you, sir. I love and honor you, sir.
So right at this moment, there is a heckler in the room who obviously is on the fan of
Thank you.
Cory Booker.
I do want to appreciate the law enforcement that are here today. I'm thankful for your service.
And just so we see the difference between the approach of Cory Booker, attending to these men, and you see a big maturity in how he handled this. That's leadership.
I'm here because of people saw things in me that I didn't see in myself and believed me, and it makes a lot of sense that we come back and do this town hall right here in Bergen County after that, and I'm grateful for the Bergen County leadership. Number two, I'm going to go quick because I want to get the questions. Number two, I just want to say it is absolutely right to be angry and ticked off. It is absolutely right to say that what's going on in America right now is not normal. I was so grateful, my staff, we kept hearing from our constituents in our state, all over from South Jersey to North Jersey, from Sussex County to Cape May County, people who were saying to us, do more, say more. You're doing good, but you need to do more. I love what Frederick Douglass says, power concedes nothing without a demand. And so for me right now, I said this on the Senate floor, every leader, and by the way, there's leaders here in this county that were introduced earlier, are some of the most hardworking people I know. They know what it's like to go around the clock. I was joking with Tracy Zur about the change when she first ran for office about how your time to go to the grocery store went from 30 minutes in and out to an hour and 30 minutes or more, because that's what the commitment is. But these are outrageous times, and they ask and call for more from elected leaders, but from all of us as well. All of us. I cannot tell you what it's like to have the blessing to serve you in the Senate, but be one of those senators that's looked to as an outpost to come and express your hurt. We don't just hear from thousands, tens of thousands of New Jerseyans. We're hearing from people from all over America. Folks who come to our office and say, I'm a farmer who's doing everything I can to hold on. The government made a contract with me, and then they pulled that back. They pulled that back. And again, people can stand up and yell. I'm hoping maybe you can wait until you can ask a question, then we can have a dialogue. But I respect your freedom of speech. I respect your ability to stand up, but I'm sorry we can't have a dialogue. If you're going to disrupt others, we are not going to let you disrupt others who want to ask questions.
So I'm guessing that's another heckler or a fan, or, but
the reason why
what I really want you to notice is the way he's actually handling it.
But the one thing we can't allow is people who are going to disrupt others and try to undermine the forum that we've created. So from people who have lost jobs, from veterans who have lost services, from people who've already had their Social Security undermined, from some of the best scientists we have that were out in the field trying to stop the spread of Ebola, because an infectious disease anywhere is a threat to public health everywhere. From just the climate of insult and injury where our president and a man named Musk demean and degrade people who stand in the public service, it is very difficult. Ma'am, I hear you, I see you. Ma'am, I see you and I hear you. And I love you and I respect you. And I respect your voice. I respect your voice. Ma'am. Thank you. Again, thank you to the law enforcement that are here today. Again, one last thing before we go. This is a town hall. Let's have a lot of conversation. We're not going to tolerate folks who are going to disrupt others. And God bless you, sir. God bless you.
It is shocking, though, to see how many disruptors are here in New Jersey.
Sincerely,
it's not really a familiar place for
and you're a part of a great American tradition, but we are not going to allow people to disrupt the opportunity for
but at
other
any rate,
people to talk and to
Americans have the freedom to express themselves.
Let's just get to the questions. Hannah, Maury, did you have some ground rules you wanted to put down?
Disdain for these.
Hello. Yep. We are going to get to as many questions as possible. We're going to take 2 questions at a time. We have, if my mic runners could raise their hands, we have Casey and Zaire raising their hands. These will be our mic runners. If you have a question, stay where you are. You don't have to get up. Just raise your hand and they will get to as many people as possible. We're going to take 2 questions at a time, and then the senator will answer 2 questions at a time. Okay?
Right. And while you're going to give the microphone to folks, I'm going to confess that last night we were on the Senate floor again until about 3 or 4 in the morning. So if I'm sitting down, it's not out of disrespect at times. I've stood a lot this week, and my knees are reminding me that I'm 55 years old and 200 and too many pounds. All right, Zaire, what do you got?
I stand up. Hi there. I have 2 questions for you. First, what is your favorite memory of elementary school? And second, what are you going to do to protect the rights of our special education students in our public schools?
You gave me the warm-up question and then the hard question there. I'm going to take the warm-up because I went to Harrington Park Elementary and then Old Tappan High School. I'll be at a funeral tomorrow for one of my great teachers. I think when you're young, you don't realize how the kind of commitment teachers really make. And as I became an adult, I suddenly realized, wait a minute, Mr. Walker, who was a full-time teacher, He was a basketball coach for a basketball team. He did the school play. He literally did what we called coffee house. It was the first time that boys and girls got together to dance. And it was remarkable for me because it was the first time I ever had the courage to ask somebody to dance with me, and the first time I ever had to face the rejection of being told no. But I go back and just do the math in my head, and I'm like, wait a minute, these are people who do their own teaching, the job, and then again and again and again they give. I would find out later how often they reach in their own pockets, spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars from their inadequate salaries to help their children succeed. When I began my career in Newark, seeing what the teachers are rising up and doing for their kids, it's stunning. So to pick me, perhaps that's the hard question, which I'm not going to do because I have enough incredible teachers. But I will tell you one thing. I grew up in a household where my parents told me I was loved. And the power to go to a school like Harrington Park Elementary that delivers the exact same message. You are loved, you're important, you matter, and we are invested in you. That was a gift that has, in my life, been perhaps one of my greatest gifts and what I stand on. So I am very afraid about the attacks on special education already. This is the outrage to me, one of the many we'll talk about, which is as the Department of Education, as they're slashing the jobs there are people who have difficult jobs who are focused on nothing else but children with special needs. We've heard from them in my office, and now they've lost their jobs. These are people that measured these issues, that made sure grants were being made, make sure their grants were being followed up on. These are folks who are doing the research about what are the successful things happening in New Jersey that could be shared with Nebraska. And this is the thing that we know in New Jersey, because God bless our state, we really do a lot for children with special needs, for children with autism. We are one of the best in America. But again, I am hearing from teachers and people all over this country in states where they don't have the kind of resources that New Jersey taxpayers make available, what kind of crisis this is going to be. And if you're a New Jersey taxpayer, and this is not the first time I'm going to say it, because, dear God, we pay too much taxes. We do. Let's just say it. And I'm saying that to say, your federal representatives are partly responsible. Because when Donald Trump took away our state and local tax deduction, and people think this is just for affluent people. I live in a very humble home in Newark, New Jersey. My taxes in the Central Ward, I'm the only senator that lives in a neighborhood, we don't mistake wealth with worth, but my neighborhood is below the poverty line. And yet homeowners in my neighborhood are still paying more than $10,000 in property taxes. This was an attack on working class, middle class Americans. And again, why? For a tax cut that went disproportionately to the wealthiest of the wealthy. And if you're a New Jerseyan, for every dollar you send to Washington, we're what's called a donor state. For every dollar we send to Washington, we get somewhere between 65 and 70-ish cents back on our dollar. In other words, we are paying for other states that get more than the dollars that they send. So what an insult to our state. And to have your property tax go up because the federal government is cutting its commitment to our special needs kids, and now we have to pay more to make up for those programs or lose them. That is outrageous. And that's why, and again, I'm going to say this over and over, this is not a left or right issue. This is a right or wrong issue. If any of our Republicans vote on a tax plan, give Donald, because remember how narrow it is in the House. If 3 House Republicans break with the president, this bill sinks. And we happen to have 3 Republicans in our delegation. And if they're going to support something that's not going to restore our state and local tax deduction, or that's going to punish middle class and working class New Jerseyans on behalf of the wealthy of us, who, again, I'm never going to hate on anybody in New Jersey. I love all New Jerseyans, regardless of what your income is, but the wealthy in this country are doing very well. They don't need another tax cut. And so if those Republicans stand against New Jerseyans, against special needs kids, against public education, we should stand against them in the next election. All right.
Hi, my name is Teresa Luoni. First of all, thank you for being here. I live in Basking Ridge. I'm the primary caregiver and mother to a 12-year-old profoundly autistic and nonverbal sons. We rely entirely on Medicaid and the Social Security Disability Program for our everyday basic needs. It's our only source of income. How can we help support the people like you who are supporting us so that these cuts don't happen and we can continue to support our children?
Thank you. Second question. I know you said two at a time, but I just wanted, I didn't hear your name when you said your name.
Teresa Luoni.
Teresa, may I call you Teresa? Teresa, I think the greatest poverty in America is a poverty of empathy. Where unless it happens to my family, I'm not necessarily sometimes aware of the urgencies that there are. And I have to say, I've suffered from the poverty of empathy when I didn't know what it was like for the millions of Americans that are caring for a parent with dementia. Until my dad went through that, it expanded my understanding and my empathy. But why does it take a lack of that poverty of empathy in our country for us to understand that there are parents like you with beautiful children, that we are all invested in you and your family's success. And it's a check on the character of our country about what will sustain the resources necessary for families, not just to survive, but for those children, every child, to have an opportunity to thrive. And this is the crazy thing that's going on right now in our country as a result of what Donald Trump is doing. You all follow this, some of you may not, but the right now, and the reason why we were up till 3 or 4 in the morning was for this crazy process in Washington called budget reconciliation. It's a way to push a budget through without having to get around the filibuster in the Senate. And when they gave instructions on the House side about this reconciliation, they referred it to the committee that oversees things like Medicaid and says, you've got to cut $880 billion. If you cut a fraction of that, $200 billion, it would render families across our country into crisis. Just one program, a lot of people have built their whole financial well-being and they rely overwhelmingly on just the transportation services for their children. To pull that away would suddenly make kids prisoners in their own home and make a mom have to make a choice of, do I work or do I stay home and then not have the money to keep the roof over their heads? And so I'm telling you right now, this is not an issue for your family. This is an issue for our country's character and moral soul. And I am going to do everything I can to fight to stop this. And I'm going to be honest with you right now, that is not enough. And so the end part of her question was the part that always moves me. Always moves me. When I was tired on the Senate floor, my staff was like, Cory, you can only have one public cry a month. And you're like 4 public cries into this speech. Because I got very emotional when I was dead tired, and then suddenly I read a person who ended their letter the same way you ended your question. Not like, what are you doing, Cory Booker, but what can I do? What can I do? Not just for my family, but for the millions of families in America that are struggling like mine and are looking what the House is about to do and looks in fear. And that's why a gathering like this can't be the end of our activism. This has got to be a moment in America where all begin to say, what more can I do? What more can I do to help families struggling like yours? And so we've got to inspire other people to get up, to stand up, to speak up, to rise up in defense of America's character and America's moral core. Thank you. God bless you. Thank you. All right. What do you got? What do you got?
We've got our next question here, Senator, from our friend, Anne Marie.
Hi, Senator Booker. My name is Anne Marie Urzecki. I live all the way south. First of all, I want to tip my hat to you for your 25-hour speech on the Senate floor. I'm the president of the New Jersey Association for the Deaf. And on behalf of the deaf and hard of hearing and deafblind community in New Jersey, I am writing to express my grave concern that Linda McMahon, President Trump, and the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, are taking steps to abolish the Department of Education and eliminate the educational opportunities for millions of students across the country, especially the impact this will have on students who are deaf, hard of hearing, and deafblind. With the termination of over 1,300 workers at the Department of Education, our country is left with a skeleton of an essential department under our federal government. In this termination, Linda McMahon inappropriately included the liaison to the special institutions who works in the Office of Special Education and Rehabilitative Services, OSERS, supporting students most in need. The U.S. Department of Education has made significant cuts affecting key programs and positions that serve deaf and hard of hearing individuals. This reduction in force impacts HRSA, Early Childhood Education, birth to 3 programs nationwide, K-12 deaf education, post-secondary programs, interpreter training programs, liaisons to special institutions to support places such as Gallaudet University. I ask that you take immediate action to have Linda McMahon correct her mistake and reinstate the employee who serves this position.
Cuts specifically affecting early childhood education, HRSA, K through 12 education, teacher services, programs with interpreter training programs, and the responsibility of special institutions, specifically like Gallaudet University. Without the department, we're not able to satisfy and meet the needs, the very serious needs and serious functioning. And we need to run the programs continually at Gallaudet without interruption. And immediate action needs to happen. And Linda McMahon needs to, I'm sorry? She needs to, oh, McMahon.
I agree with you all that Linda McMahon must go, but the actual person who put Linda McMahon in that position has to go. So I want to make sure that my team who's here talks to her more, because we are already doing a lot to write about these specific people and programs that are under assault. But we take a lot of strength from New Jerseyans who know these issues. Literally, there are New Jerseyans that help us write bills, write public statements, and it sounds like you could really be a partner with us in fighting back, okay? So thank you. My chief of staff, Veronica Duran, I'm gonna make you stand up because I want to embarrass you really quick. Stand up, Veronica. She's one of the first Latina chiefs of staff in all of the Senate. And in order to get here, after we finished at 3 or 4 last night, she's the one that drove me up here. But the reason why I want to embarrass her is because this was her advice for the town hall. Cory, you've already proven to people that you can speak for 25 hours. Prove to me that you can give answers to questions that are only 1 minute. So I'm going to try to heed my chief of staff to try to go shorter so we can get more people get more questions asked.
Hi, my name's Chris Peters. I'm from Hasbrook Heights. This is my son, Joseph Peters, who has autism and lives in his own apartment with his aide. in Hackensack for 7 years.
All right.
He's made notes. So like Teresa here, they become adults. Autistic children grow up and become adults, and they still need services and supports. So Medicaid is lifelong, and this is Medicaid at work, and that's why we wanted to come here today and speak. Joseph has a lot of anxiety, and this was really overwhelming for him, but we watched Hamilton, and we talked about Hamilton, and we said, we want to be in the room where it happens. Yeah. And I said, this is the room, and he said, okay, let's go. This is his aide, we call them helpers, because they help Joseph to live in the community, in his apartment, and go food shopping and do his laundry. And without them, we'd be lost. We've had Martin with us for 7 years. He's practically family.
Wow.
Medicaid works. Medicaid is hard. That's my job, to do the food stamps, the rental voucher, SSI, DDD, and to do the paperwork and get it done. But it works. For 7 years, he lives independently with supports in his community. A 10% cut would impact this life and all the other ones that are going to need it, that are coming down the road, and families like mine. And we have a wonderful advocate in New Jersey called Susan Colguidas, who's in Believe Central Jersey. And like her, we are scrolling all night long, watching for any word of Medicaid, Medicaid, Medicaid. And this 800, and I don't sleep now because I'm so nervous of what am I going to do if anything happens? How am I going to maintain his life that we've worked so hard to get? And it's no way to live, but I will do everything in my power and anything I can to support you and anybody that can make this not happen. Joseph wanted to read what he wrote today.
I just want to say I love my helpers, for one thing. I love my apartment. And just please, please, for the love of God, don't cut Medicaid.
I have to say, it's been a pleasure working with this young man. I've seen him succeed. He's honestly a success story. I've been in the field for 15, 20 years. I'm part of that working poor. I was until I met this family, and they took care of me, and now I take care of them. And please, anything I can do, I will do.
His job is Medicaid. He gets paid by Medicaid. He lives on Medicaid. He gets paid by Medicaid. We can't live without it. These children are not going to be, we can't just put them in group homes, which we know do not work. And Paul Aronson, our wonderful ombudsman, could attest to that. And group homes don't work. Joseph was in a group home before we moved him into his apartment. And what's left? Institutions? They've been outlawed. Are we going to just institutionalize everybody? Families cannot maintain this. I can't continue to take care of him. What is the answer if they cut even 10%? Even 10% will mess up this extremely delicate balance of what we all live.
Chris, overwhelmed, and I'm not going to have a public cry right now, but your voice, I mean, you bring better points. I try to make this point over and over in hours, but your point, I just want everybody to understand that. They're talking about $880 billion, which would crush the program. But even just a fraction of that, $50 billion would, Chris, I'll come over there to you, I know.
The 2020 census showed that 13% of the country are people who identify with people with disabilities. That's 42 million people. So we know what happens here in New Jersey, but 42 million people right now, adults and young people, are living with disabilities. So Medicaid is the lifeline.
And so, thank you. May I give you a hug? Okay. What's that? Would you give me a hug? Oh my gosh. Thank you. All right. Even a 5% cut, 10% cut. Let me explain to you, because again, we are so blessed. hug a New Jersey leader, hug your I saw assembly people here. The reason why I want to say how blessed we are is because many states in America have something called the Medicaid expansion trigger, which means if the federal funding drops below 90%, they end Medicaid expansion. So it doesn't take much to go from 90% federal match to 89%, and that would mean millions of people in their states would lose Medicaid and millions of families. That's how much of a razor edge these resources are. So what she is saying, everything she is saying is true, but Joseph, like, I have friends that have anxiety, some of it crippling. My greatest fear when I was in grade school, this is why I'm so grateful for the teachers that pushed me to do plays and things like that. My greatest fear was speaking in front of crowds. It sounds ironic, but my most embarrassing moment was in 7th grade when I froze up speaking in just front of my classroom. And they saw that and they did extraordinary things to push me. But the courage you just showed, Joseph, what you just did in front of this room of 1,000 people, that courage, we all need your courage. We all need your strength. We all need your inspiration. We all need to stand like you stood. We all need to speak power, truth to power like you did. And you are one of the more best hugs I've gotten this entire year. So thank you. Thank you. All right. Thanks for getting, Zaire, thanks for getting in the back. All right.
Hi, my name is Diane McDermott. I've been a nurse for 27 years, and I'm here with a lot of people in the medical community, and I can't believe I'm going to ask you this in 2025, but I'm deeply concerned about medical access for women. Women that want to terminate a pregnancy for whatever reason, regardless of if it's threatening their life, if it is still an anomaly, if they don't have a safe space at home with their partner. I have been with those women. It is never an easy decision to end a pregnancy, but I'm terrified that that decision and any decision about women's health, whether we get a mammogram or whether we can go to the gynecologist, is going to end. So my question is also a thank you for standing up for women, but what else can we do to protect that? And what can we do to encourage women to vote for their own rights and stop voting against themselves?
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. So basically your question said it all, but I want to just keep giving you some facts that you might not know. So already they've assaulted, this administration and his Supreme Court picks have done a massive assault on women's reproductive rights, but it hasn't stopped there. This administration is going after Planned Parenthoods all across this country, going after access to reproductive rights, everything from gynecological care to maternal care. We are already the worst nation in the industrialized world, the worst for safety of moms having babies. We have the highest maternal mortality rates in the developed world, and it's already dangerous. And you all know this. 40+% of the women in this country who have babies have it relying on Medicaid. For African American women and Native American women, the death rates are 3 times higher than the majority. We are already in a crisis. And one of the things I'm so proud of, working with people like Lisa Blunt Rochester, my colleague now from Delaware, working with the Congressional Black Caucus, is we were able to work with Joe Biden to expand Medicaid from just limiting 60 days postpartum to getting it expanded much more. And some states have gone even beyond that. Again, we live in a great state in New Jersey. But they are attacking those very programs. But let me go further. What they're doing to the VA right now, I met with women veterans in Sussex County when I first started as a senator. I listened. People said, you need to hear from women veterans. And it was so offensive to me to sit down with these extraordinary women who stood for us, who put their lives on the line for us, and then they come back to the United States of America, and at the VA, they have 6 to 7 months wait to just see a gynecologist. And so we've been able to make progress there. But the cuts in the VA right now, the thousands, 80,000 people that they're taking out of the VA is going to result in longer lines and longer waits for the women needing basic medical care. And so again, this is what I love about my state, because the worst thing you can do is piss off a New Jerseyan. And I'm happy that more people are beginning to see that this is all connected. You come after beautiful Americans with disabilities. You come after our veterans. You come after the people studying at our colleges and universities who are here legally and deny them due process and disappear them to another nation. You cannot go after the fundamental rights and freedoms of some and not threaten the rights and freedoms of others. And I am a senator that will always believe that health care is a human right. All right.
Good afternoon, Senator Booker. My name is Courtney Johnson Suffolk, and I'm the president of the Bergen County NAACP. Thank you.
I got to interrupt you. I was raised with Bergen County NAACP members, my mom and my dad. It was the civil rights activism of Black and white, Christian, Jewish, Sikh, Muslim New Jerseyans in the 60s that allowed my family, some of you know the story, when my family was denied a home in Harrington Park because of the color of their skin. It was this beautiful coalition of people and organizations like the NAACP that stood for us. So I'm just honored to see the traditions continuing under your leadership. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So with factual civics and cultural classes being threatened across the country, what would you say to our young people who are becoming disenfranchised and turned off from voting and or running from office?
Okay, so first I just want to say, a lot of people are saying, oh, you're being alarmist when you say things, and I mean this, when our country is taking on the tactics of authoritarian leaders in authoritarian countries. When you see books being banned from libraries across our country, things like The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison. When you see them trying to erase people from history, literally taking them off of our military websites like Jackie Robinson, who was a great veteran. When you see them cutting funding to programs that teach about the beautiful diversity of our country, to me, those are the tactics of authoritarian countries. And America is a great nation, not because we have a perfect history. I'm sorry. There's wretchedness and darkness and cruelty all throughout our history. Irish Americans who faced outrageous discrimination. Irish need not, an entire political party rose to predominance in this country just because they were against Catholics, called the Know Nothing Party. I could go through the darker chapters of our country's history, and I'll stand against anybody who wants to sanitize, homogenize, or Disneyify our history. I think what makes our country great, is not the hate that was evident, it's how we overcame that hate, how we overcame the injustice, how we banded together in rainbow coalitions to be where we are today. That is the beauty, because every nation has had that kind of bigotry, that kind of hate. But America's story of making a more perfect union is what makes us special. And people who want to lie about that story, in that story, they weaken America. And unfortunately, as we all learned, as I learned one of the early lessons in 7th grade social studies class, when you fail to learn from the mistakes of history in the past, you are destined to repeat them. So young leaders right now who are worried about civics and how to get involved, I just have one thing to say. Do not wait. You are a leader now. Do not wait. This is your moment in American history. I don't care if you're in grade school or high school or college. This country is desperate for your strength, for your vision, for your creativity. Because from Alice Paul, somebody in her 20s, that was the person from New Jersey who was the first person in American history to do a protest in front of the White House, who challenged a president who eventually came out and joined her after she was jailed. What do you do to powerful women? You say that they're insane. She was put in an insane asylum. Before Gandhi, this 20-something went on hunger strikes. And until finally, the First Amendment's freedom of the press, a reporter began to tell her story. It shocked the consciousness of our country. But creative artists of activism who don't accept the business as usual, even in the protest movements, creative artists of activism, that's what we need, our young people. This is your time to stand up right now. Where am I going next?
Right here, Senator. Over here. Over here. To the left.
To the left. Okay. Oh, there you are.
Hello. My name is Kevin Weller from Jersey City. We have an affordable housing crisis. Thank you, Senator, for speaking out on RealPage's role in inflating rents. As a New Jersey renter, I filed the largest national class action lawsuit against RealPage and 20 of the country's largest landlords. What more can you do to help ensure New Jersey doesn't fall behind other states that are taking legal action to protect tenants? And what can be done for renters in cities like Jersey City, where local governments refuse to enforce existing laws like rent control?
I think you know this, but this is how I started my career as an advocate for people who are renting. It is the practices that we turn our back on or sanction in our country are outrageous. What they do to block people who complain against their landlords, they put on these blacklists that we've been standing up against. So trying to rent just for speaking up for your very rights. There are so many things in the rental world that if you told them and spelled them out for people, they would not believe. They still go on in the United States of America. And so you don't forget where you came from. It was a bunch of grisly elder tenant leaders in Newark, New Jersey, who we sued a slumlord. He eventually got convicted in federal court, who saw their rents going up and their services going down. They're the ones that came to me one day and said, "We want you to run for city council." And I said, "No." But they're the people that put me into this game, and these kind of issues we'll fight for. And I'm hoping that you are in touch with my team. I want to say this, a lot of these issues come down to localities, come down to zoning rules and other rules on the local level. And this is why every level of politics is really important. This is why this governor's race coming up in New Jersey in November is vital, So I am, this is one of the joys of my life. I ain't getting involved in the primary for governor. But I will tell you, we need to ask those questions to folks about affordability. Because the county executive, he was telling me this, you often pull your wallet out and say, we at the end of the day are a pocketbook, a wallet state. And to have New Jersey becoming so much more hard to afford is one of the most pressing crises right now, because that is the very idea of the American dream. Can I have economic security? Now, I don't think it's the roof, but it's the foundation of the American dream, that if I work hard and I play by the rules, like my friend over there who's a care worker, I can actually not just barely survive, I can thrive. And so right now, I don't want to leave without this message. Donald Trump has been in office for like 75 days. And for these 75 days, groceries have gone up, inflation has gone up, prices have gone up. It was bad enough before his so-called Liberty Day, which is the most insulting thing to call it, because so many Americans are chained to financial insecurity and are living paycheck to paycheck. And now this president has just done something that for New Jerseyans, it's going to raise the average New Jerseyans' annual cost by $4,000 to $5,000. So we have to start speaking up at every level. And I'm telling you, one of the greatest lessons from history, again, that I learned in a grade school, the only thing necessary for bad things to happen in any democracy is for good people to say nothing and do nothing. All right, where are we going next?
Over here, Senator.
All right.
Hi, Senator Booker. My name is Rachel. I was born and raised on the Jersey Shore. I am a single mom, a small business owner, and a survivor of domestic violence. For the past month, I've been doing exactly what you said, which is standing up and using my own voice and getting involved and not just relying on politicians to do all the work for us. And so I've been following very closely everything that's going on with Medicaid. I stayed up with you last night until about 2:30 in the morning trying to watch Votorama. And so they passed in the Senate this budget resolution that will run through 2036 and threaten the healthcare of 72 million Americans. And so what we have left is the House of Representatives. We're doing everything we can here in New Jersey to pressure our 3 Republican members of Congress and get them to do the right thing. But we did see in the Senate last night that I believe it was Kentucky and Alaska, those 2 senators, even though they were Republican, actually voted with the Dems and the Independents. So one of my questions for you is, are everyone who's a Dem and an independent in the Congress working behind the scenes to also pressure the members of Congress from Alaska and Kentucky who can still vote no to get us where we need to be to stop these cuts? And then B, I also have been paying attention to the Reorganizing Government Act that's coming up. And I did my research, and it used to be that the Congress could do the legislative veto and shut it down if the president used it to do something really dangerous. Since that's not constitutional and hasn't happened since 1983, what are we doing to stop that bill or that act from going through? Because that act was amended so that Donald Trump would be able to not just reorganize and or create new agencies, which we know is not how he's going to use it, but to actually have the ability to fully go through with what he wanted to do, delete entire agencies with the help from the Republicans, because it wouldn't need the 60 votes, it would just need the minority, and would be able to get rid of programs that Congress has already passed into law, including Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security. So why am I not hearing as much about the Reorganizing Government Act? And what can we do? Because there's multiple affronts here that could lead to the destruction of Medicaid.
So real quick on both of those issues. The very first issue to me is really one of the most important questions we can ask, because with the numbers of Democrats in the House and the Senate, we do not have the votes. We do not have the votes. It is going to take, like you saw, the first cracks. This Senate this week was really, to me, an exciting week. We saw the first cracks coming after the 25 hours on the floor. The first one was 4 Republicans broke with us to stand up and say, do not put tariffs on our northern neighbor. And, I said it's dangerous to piss off a New Jerseyan. I didn't think it was possible to piss off Canadians, but Donald Trump has pulled that off. But you saw that. You saw 4 Republicans break with ranks and all the threats that are there. And they are facing threats. The fact that they have the richest man in the world threatening to drop $100 million in primaries against them, I'm not saying that's justifiable for their compliance, but to understand that it's a lot for us to pull them over. And so that is the most important thing for all of us, is to open up, as John Lewis would tell me, a path for redemption for a Republican of good conscience that will switch their votes. That's how we save the Affordable Care Act. And it was, rarely do you see such high drama in the Senate, because we didn't know what John McCain was going to do. Murkowski and Collins came with us, and everybody was holding their breath as John McCain went there and voted down. And now I would love to tell you that it was my persuasive conversations with John McCain, my eloquent speeches, my sitting out in front of his office demanding a few minutes, but not one Democratic senator convinced John McCain. You know who convinced John McCain? The people of the United States of America, and not being silent. So all of us should be thinking, it only takes a little bit more. What more can I be doing on my social media accounts to try to activate others? On my organizing amongst my friends? It only takes a little bit more. Can I afford one trip down to Washington, D.C. when they were doing a rally to save my healthcare? Can I do what these little lobbyists did? I would see these young kids in wheelchairs, disabled children, who would roll their wheelchair up to United States senators, not with anger, not with hate, but with the appeal of their hearts. Please, sir, if you make that vote, lose my coverage. Find out what you can do. Do not let your inability to do everything to undermine your determination to do something in the cause of your country. The second point, real quick, I am going to hear it from Veronica in the car on the way home, but really quick, this is what Donald Trump is doing right now. We have a constitution with checks and balances, and whether it is attacking the third branch of government, the lawyers, you don't vote like I tell you to vote, I'm going to start threatening you and dragging you. And we know in New Jersey, violence against federal judges happen. As Esther Solis, one of our great federal judges, had somebody with hate and misogyny that went to her house to kill her and ended up killing her son and shooting her husband. But Donald Trump whips up that hate. And then we know what he's doing to the powers of our branch of government. He is doing everything he can to erode the checks and balances that the Constitution tells us to have. And so with that kind of authoritarianism instinct, the question that history is going to ask all of us is that when a president was trying to take on tactics that we're seeing, who literally says, when he's asked, who does he admire? It's Viktor Orban or Vladimir Putin. When that was going on, what did you do? What did you do? That's the question that I have to answer. And then I'm trying to rise higher to this moment of challenge. But I'm asking everybody here to answer that question is when Donald Trump had to tear down our democracy, I stood up.
Senator, thank you for taking my question. My name is Barry Hirschberg. I'm the Senior Vice Commander of Disabled American Veterans in Bergenfield, New Jersey. Thank you. And I'm a combat Vietnam veteran. And when I heard Donald Trump say that John McCain was a hero because he was captured, I felt sick. And I don't understand why any veteran or any currently serving military person has anything good to say about this person. But the amazing thing is 65% of veterans voted for him. I don't get it. And if that 65% had been flipped, we would have the first woman president. I've been doing my best to talk to veterans. Every time I see a veteran in the street, every time I talk to any veterans, I try not to be political about it because, like you said, it's not a right or left thing, it's a right or a wrong thing. And veterans should not be voting for this type of government that we have right now. So I'm asking every citizen, I know where you stand for veterans, I know where everybody here stands for veterans, I know where all America, or most of America, stands for veterans. But the people, the veterans, the 65%, they're not hearing it. They're only hearing the rhetoric and the bullshit, that they get from right-wing media. We have to get the message to those veterans. And like I said, when I was talking to some of my veterans in my DAV group, I'm able to get through to them. So we need everyone to get, if you know a veteran, if you know a friend who knows a veteran, talk to them and ask them why they are not getting this message. And we have to stop them from stopping.
Thank you, sir.
I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry. You earned that right. You earned the right in your service. Absolutely. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you. And I'm going to just say one thing, because this is what I've noticed about New Jersey veterans is when I say thank you for your service to a man like you, it's not just your service. What blows me away about veterans in New Jersey is they come home and they keep serving like you are. They keep serving other veterans, they keep volunteering in their community, and they keep leading. And so I'm going to mention this a lot. What he is doing with 80,000 layoffs in the VA, with all the layoffs he's doing. And by the way, folks in New Jersey should know this. As mayor of my city, I cut the size of my government. It was difficult, but we didn't have the power to print money. We cut Newark's government size down 25%. We laid off 1 out of every 4 of our employees. We made a lot of our departments a lot more efficient. I'm not saying that the federal government needs to be more efficient and more effective. But the way that Elon Musk is going about this, dashing, it's like ready, fire, and maybe I'll aim later. But the way he is eliminating entire agencies, divisions that do critical services that the majority of Americans, Republicans and Democrats, really want is outrageous. And with no accountability, not one oversight hearing, it is wrong. So, sir, I'm going to fight for veterans who fought for me. I'm going to stand for people who fell for me in every way possible. And this is the good political advice I didn't take from my county executive who said, Cory, stop it, stop it. He begged me to stop this. Because every time somebody from Bergenfield speaks, I'm still trying to prosecute the fact that my last high school game, I lost to Bergenfield, and I'm upset about it. So I love you, sir. I love the town of Bergenfield, except for the 1987 football team. We are better than them in Old Japan. Okay, go ahead.
All right, Senator.
Where are you, my friend?
Back here on your right.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, my name is Crystal Samoji, and I have a question about LGBTQ rights because, as you know, we get attacked like every time a fascist government comes in, and it's every single thing that they can throw at us. They say they're protecting kids, but it's not about the kids. They are trying to take access away from us from using the appropriate bathrooms that fit who we are. We can't even live our truth because me going out every single day as who I am puts me in danger. So my question, Senator, to you is, what are we going to do about protecting LGBTQ rights and trans rights for those who don't have a voice that can speak up and or are shy? Because after all, Trump's main goal is immigration rights. Every single speech he has, he says things about, trans is a sickness and all that stuff. This is not a costume. This is who I am. And I am not about to let him tell me who I am.
Well, before I just didn't catch your name at the beginning.
Crystal Samoji.
And what town is in Crystal?
Morris Plains, Morris County.
Thank you for coming. So first of all, can I have a hug? Yes. Thank you. So this is what really bothers me about bullies is, and I've seen my fair share, is they often will first target the people they even perceive are the weakest. And from Stonewall to Harvey Milk to some of the activists that lead Garden State Pride right now, they make a mistake when it comes to the New Jersey LGBTQ community if they think we're weak. And I will tell you this. And I'll tell you what, I've never seen anything like this, but it doesn't surprise me that from Pennsylvania, and some of you who live where you see some of their commercials, that the Republican Party spent hundreds of millions of dollars talking about trans children in ads, demeaning and degrading and whipping up fear and whipping up hate. It is stunning to me how this is a moment in time where they want to talk about trans kids. There are more than 500,000 more than 500,000 NCAA athletes, and less than 10 of them are trans. There are more kids being afflicted by measles right now in Texas than there are trans kids in the NCAA. And instead of talking about the threats to our children, like gun violence in schools, which affects hundreds of thousands of children a year. Instead of talking about the moral obscenity that the richest nation in the world would have one of the highest child poverty rates amongst wealthy nations. Instead of talking about so many issues that are facing our beautiful children, whether it's children with autism and disabilities we heard about today, they are trying to whip up hate and fear. Here's a Republican governor from Utah named Cox. He said, I have never seen so much fear and hatred being whipped up about so few people. He was disgusted by his own party's tactics. And so I just want you to know now, and I say this as a heterosexual ally, I will stand with you. If they come after trans Americans or LGBTQ Americans, they're going to have to come through this United Senator, because you deserve the same rights that I enjoy, the same protections, the same respect, and the same love. If I don't make a stand with you, the next they'll be coming after, the next community they perceive is vulnerable, whether it's the Sikh community or the Muslim community. We must stand together when it comes to fundamental rights and respect and the dignity of all people. All right, getting me fired up, Zaire.
Yes, sir.
Senator Booker, first and foremost, thank you for restoring my hope with what you did. I think we've been all feeling hopeless, and you're standing out the other day just recharged us. My name is Renata, and I'm from Head Heights. Now more than ever, we're seeing immigrants being treated the way they have been, and it is criminal. What part of the world did your parents or your grandparents come from? Italy, Ireland, somewhere in Europe or South America? At the end of the day, we're all humans. We all belong to the human race. We need to protect legal immigrants and illegal too within the law and regulate immigration in a more humanely and lawful way. What can we do, Senator Booker? Thank you.
So I want to start, first of all, we are a nation that is fueled not just by immigrants. We all know that story. And a lot of people will say to me, but legal immigration, legal immigration. I'm going to tell you right now, undocumented people in our country, from the people picking fruit and in their field to other industries, are contributing right now hundreds of billions of dollars to our economy. And I'm the first person to say, secure the border. We've had a bipartisan bills that have come together that Donald Trump has trashed and stopped us from doing. We should be securing our border, especially not creating an environment where people are literally dying trying to cross this border through horrible places. But where people get it wrong, and this is why in the 25 hours I stood, my staff, who are incredible, they prepared over 1,000 pages for me to read, because we didn't want to read Green Eggs and Ham. We didn't want to read phone books. We wanted to go detailed to the crisis. And so the immigration binder, like a lot of the speech, they tried to pull from Republican voices, pull from Republican think tanks. I love the Republican voices within the immigration binder, and I want to rely on them right now on this issue. So the first is this idea that our immigration system is broken is true. But one of the ways it's broken is that there are people in our country that are considered now undocumented who have been waiting for so long, trying to go through a system that has been deliberately broken by Republicans. Don't believe me, believe the far-right Cato Institute, who points to this system and says it would be easier to win the lottery to then be able to come into this country when you have even an American spouse, American children. We've so broken the system that has made it so hard and so much hardship on American families. The second thing I want to point out is what, again, Republican voices are saying. They're saying that vital to our nation's economy is creating a system that is fair. Let me give you another Republican voice. Samuel Alito says that if you are in this country, citizen or not, you have fundamental due process protections that are not being honored right now by this president. Some people might say, oh, they disappeared that person, but they're not an American citizen. Well, if there's no due process, how do you know they're not an American citizen? If they have the right to take somebody off of our streets, throw them on the plane because they don't like their tattoo, and end them up in one of the worst jails on the planet Earth without any due process, where they've already admitted that they've made mistakes, that's not our country. This is a cancer on the soul of our nation, and we have got to say no. There is a way to do this in a bipartisan manner to create more strength and safety and security, but to create an immigration system that serves our economy and upholds our values. That's what I stand for. That's what I'll fight for. Thank you. Oh, yes, yes.
Hi, Senator Booker. My name is Neil. This is Sean.
I'm sorry, your name, I hear Sean's name, but...
Oh, I'm sorry. My name is Neil.
Neil.
This is Sean.
Okay.
My wife is here. My other child is here. The whole family you got out here today.
And where are you all from?
Caldwell.
Which town?
Caldwell.
Caldwell, yes. Essex County.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Yes.
Yes, it is. So the first thing I wanted to do was make a comment. You can see this young man. He is the recipient of Medicaid. And just as the other parents here told you about their children with autism, Sean doesn't have autism, but he does have severe disabilities. And Medicaid is his lifeline, not because it's his primary insurance, it is his backup insurance. It is the cost-effective part of taking care of a child with heavy-duty special needs. My question then, I have two. How do we get the guys on the other side of the aisle to understand the cost effectiveness of Medicaid? Because if it weren't for Medicaid, Sean would not be living at home. He would be somewhere costing hundreds of thousands of dollars more. That's question one. Question two is, it's looking like a little bit like the Weimar Republic in this country right now. How do we get the other side to wake up? And how do we get the people in this room not to beat up on you so much because you stood for 25 hours, but for us outside of Republicans' district to push on them to not buckle?
So, Neil and Sean, thank you for being here and for your whole family. The first thing is just pulling back the curtain and showing America, America. Because you two are sitting there, but you and I both know you represent the voices of millions of Americans. And it's one of the reasons why from the stand I did on the floor, we ran it on all of our social media platforms. We run this now on different live platforms, is because the courage that you and Sean have to be here today, we want those voices to try to dispel or address that poverty of empathy. Number two, I want to say to you is this. I always tell people, New Jersey didn't send me to Washington to be a great Democratic senator. They sent me to Washington to serve the whole state of New Jersey and be a great senator, period. And the tribalism in which we speak to each other sometimes, I'm sorry, is that your wife, Neil? Hi, Jennifer.
John's mom.
All right.
Service.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your family, for your courageous, beautiful family. But the second thing I want to say is just all of us should understand that we share common values. This tribalism does not speak to the unity we have as a nation. We really do have a lot of unity. The lines that divide us are not nearly as strong as the ties that bind us. And so I always try to, and I have a lot, in fact, one of the reasons why I'm a senator who's passed a lot of bipartisan bills is because I never demonize or degrade somebody because they disagree with me. And I know that that's hard, but the reason why I loved your question is because you started with the truth. Let's agree that we all in America want to have a government that runs efficiently and effectively. And we want to make sure that we are investing in the things we get the biggest return. People think of Medicaid as an entitlement program that just spends, but misses that point that he made. Without Medicaid allowing people to live independently or to live at home with their families, if we lost Medicaid and they were not able to provide those services, people would end up in far more expensive care. Investing in primary care physicians is one of the biggest things, because I learned this when I was mayor of the city of Newark. So many people were allowing on hospital emergency rooms for primary care, the most expensive place for care. And then how much money do we spend for what they call charity care? I want to get a better word for that, but it comes out of our taxpayer dollars. So what they're talking about is they're appealing to the truth. If they follow through with these cuts, they may cut $250 billion from Medicaid, but it's going to cost our society financially far more on the back end because of the issues that are going to be created. We need to be able to make appeals to people on the other side of the aisle. We need to be able to have conversations that start with, and I say this to a lot of my Republican colleagues, that start with, we share some common values. Let's start from there, that our government should be fiscally responsible. It is not fiscally responsible to cut NIH funding, because for every dollar we invest in NIH funding, we get $5 back in the kind of breakthroughs. It makes no sense what Donald Trump is doing to science and research right now by cutting indirect costs. Fareed Zakaria, I talked about this on the Senate floor, did this incredible editorial where he talked about how we are cutting science research, that they're now, some of our top universities here in New Jersey are cutting the number of PhD candidates, postdoc candidates they have. And then he compared that to China, who is doubling down. They learned from their Cultural Revolution, or even what they were doing in Tiananmen Square. They're now doubling down on their investments in science and research because they know that's how you win as an economy, and win actually militarily is to get ahead on science. So I'm just saying, God bless you and your family for making that point, but that point can't be one that you just make about your family. It's the one that we all should be making in the larger national conversation that we're whipping up right now. To look at a Republican and say, look, I disagree with you. I'm going to stand my ground with you. I don't hate you. Let's talk about a pathway to redemption right now, because we both share the value. If you take away the health insurance from a family who has their child at home, who might have special needs, if you take away that, you are going to cost my government and my soul, frankly, a lot more money. Let's be a stronger, more financially sound, more financially intelligent country. So thank you very much.
Senator, we are past 5 o'clock, so we're going to ask for a last question.
So we'll do a last question, and then I want to do a wrap up if I can.
Okay.
Okay.
As long as it's not 25 hours.
Okay. Where's my up Zaire in the back?
Hi, Senator. My name is Claude O'Connor, and I'm a student at Northern Valley Old Japan.
Whoa. You're a Golden Knight?
Yes.
All right. Did you guys beat Bergenfield this year?
I don't know.
Okay. I'm sorry, my veteran here. I love your town. Love your town. Not the 1986-87 football team, though. Go ahead.
Next year, I plan to attend university in pursuit of becoming an animator. And my question is, do you have a plan to regulate artificial intelligence, to regulate to preserve job opportunities for artists, business people, and other people who are in danger of their jobs being taken over by AI?
Okay, that's pretty incredible. So waves of technology disrupt our country and the world. A lot of people saw waves of technology in the time that the X-Geners, we were coming up. And disruptive technology, the computer revolution, the internet, I remember everybody here remembers why we thought ATMs might end bank jobs. So I don't know what this next wave, it's going to be one of the more revolutionary waves we've ever seen. I'm one of these people that says, let's not fear it. Let's get excited about it and shape this technology to empower humanity. Right now, I'm going to tell you, I had such a frustration about our procurement rules. My friends in the private sector, and I see the county executive rolling his head because you feel my pain, I know it. I was trying to run the most efficient and effective government I could for my taxpayers in Newark, but yet I was strapped with these procurement rules that would force me to pay 2x what my friends in the private sector were often paying for the same things. And I was just saying, God, I know that these rules were written with the good intention to make sure that it was fair and no corruption. I understand that. But when my competitors in the private sector are able to do things for less, why can't I have those same rules? And so I look now to AI as something that could transform the way we do government services. It's a better deliver services, better empower people, better do something called predictive analytics to see a problem before it happens. I want us to be bold and ambitious about what the future of America can be about. And students like you get me so excited because you're asking me a question in AI that's revealing to me as an artist that you might be the person that shapes it. Let me give you an example. I sat in my office because I love technology and innovation with a whole bunch of artists that were explaining to me why blockchain technology has transformed their art. Because artists used to be struggling, used to make things, whatever, but now they can turn to the internet, sell their pieces in ways that they couldn't before. And because what happens in the art world sometimes is an artist, somebody buys their work for $100, goes into the market, whips up a demand for it, and they make thousands times the profit of what they paid for it, and that original artist gets nothing. But now with the immutable blockchain, some of that wealth stays with the artist. So I don't want to go too far down this before people start glazing over, but I'm just telling you right now, I don't want us as a nation to get so caught up in talking about other people that we forgot to talk about our common possibilities. When Martin Luther King, in the midst of hatred and violence and bigotry and beatings and lynchings even in our country, when he came to speak before people, when he came to speak at the March on Washington, he didn't demonize Bull Connor. He didn't heap hate upon George Wallace. He turned to America and inspired us to dream America, to dream of a greater America. And I think your generation as Gen Z, millennials, Gen X, my baby boomer leaders, God bless them, this is the last baby boomer president. New generations are rising, and it's our turn to redeem the dream of America, to dream America anew, to put a vision for this country that's so inspiring and so compelling, because I still believe we can be a nation where every child could have food in their belly and a school that serves their genius. I still believe that we as a nation can create a healthcare system where everybody has access. I still believe that we can be a nation that honors our elders, honors our veterans, gives them the dignity that they deserve, and can still be a nation that stands for peace in the globe and justice and a world order that works for everybody. I still believe that America can be the light into a dark world of hope and not bullying, that we can be a light of justice and not injustice. I still believe in the dream of America, and it's our generation's turn. It's our generation's turn to step up and lead out of the quicksand and darkness that Donald Trump has brought to the higher ground of moral hope and audacious ambition and love for all. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thanks. Thank you. Thank you to our incredible sign language. It's incredible people. Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. This is a beginning. This is a beginning. More people standing up, more people speaking up, more people rising up. You don't got to stand for 25 hours, but you got to stand. You got to stand. Thank you. Get into some good trouble. Get into some good trouble.
Well, that's it. The rerun of that particular question and answer in the town hall setting with Cory Booker. On the other side of the screen, you will see a different kind of scenario that happened earlier today when Americans went to protest Donald Trump's policy. Which one do we start with? Tariffs, migration, and every other one of his policy that is draconian, that looks like he's trying to hurt people unnecessarily. And the fact that we are right here talking about these deranged governments in just 2 months that has already add so much pain into so many people's life. Just because he doesn't touch you does not mean that you cannot show that you care. Of course, whatever actually touches our neighbor is as much as touching us. And you've been watching these shows on OGM News channels, page, and platforms. And the voice over is from OGM News FM radio. And we are going to draw the curtain to a close at this point in time. Please continue to engage with us, continue to, be part of these small family here so that we continue to represent you and bring you some of the very good information that can help guide us in these kind of situation that we find ourselves in America today. All right, thank you very much for watching, and thank you very much for being part of this small community, and for all your support. Thank you very much, and we'll see you when something else come up later, or at least on Monday by 6 o'clock on our daily show. Be part of that too. It's a Code Blue on Monday to Friday, every 6 o'clock. 6 p.m. All right. Thank you very much for being there. Thank you for watching this show.